everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here today. I am talking about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Episode 8. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the show yet and you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the show first before you watch this review. So, Episode 8 is the final episode of the first season of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. This episode, we found out more about, everything that's been going on. We found out a little bit about the stranger, more about who Sauron was, and other things like that. So as far as what I liked about the movie, again, or what I liked about the episode and the show overall, cast is always good. I really like Morfydd Clark as Galadriel, Robert Aramayo as Elrond. I like Charles Edwards in there as Celebrimbor, Charlie Vickers as Halbrand, Emma Horvath as Irian, and Daniel Wayman as the stranger. In this episode in particular, I like their performances, but yeah, overall throughout, I've liked them, and I've liked pretty much all the cast in the show. I really like the opening where we saw the weird sisters who are actually the Mystics, is what they're called. And we saw them kind of come up, and first he's chasing after Nori, and then Nori turns into that one mystic. And then you expect them to be a big fight, and then get into it. No, instead they go, "Oh, how Lord Sauron." Oh man, really? He's Sauron? And then as soon as they say it, he's like, "You're right." Yep. Once he said it, I was like, "Yeah, it sounds about right." But then you find out he's not. He's not actually Sauron. He's not bad. He's good. And he stops them. He defeats them with the help of the Harfoots. Fun little scene. I liked it and I enjoyed it. And it was, it was good to find some more about the character. We still don't exactly know what he is. They call him an Istari, so we know he's most likely a wizard, probably much like Gandalf, Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White, Saruman the Brown. There's two blue wizards, so yeah, all those guys are Istari. So, guys, most likely one of those characters, most likely Gandalf. Sounds like. I like the Mystics in this. I think they've got a cool look. I'm hoping we see more of them, although they might be gone. I'm not quite sure exactly. I guess I don't remember what the outcome of that fight was. I don't remember if they died or if they just left or what. But yeah, they were cool looking. I love the music on the show. Bear McCreary is one of my favorite composers working right now, especially in TV. And I always like his music. There was, I think, one episode of this that I didn't love, some of it at the beginning, but yeah, for the most part, I really like it. Just when I feel like it's starting to get a little too over the top or a little too maudlin or a little too, it comes up with something a little original and kind of mixed it up and keeps it fresh. So yeah, I really like his music. Scenery. All of these episodes in general, the scenery always looks good. They film it, I believe, in New Zealand, just like they filmed the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And yeah, seeing all these big sweeping landscapes of these great rolling hills and green, verdant valleys and everything, it's really cool. It's really nice, and I always like to see it. I really like I said, the epicness of the show, the scale of the show. There's stuff like Celebrimbor's laboratory I thought looked really cool. The sort of reveal of that and the way they show it opening up. Like I said, I love all the costumes on this show. Even like the armor is obviously easy to see and like notice it looks cool, but like even the stuff that isn't armor, even just the random kind of casual costumes that like Elrond, I think, was wearing one at some point, or Halbrand, rather, was wearing one. And you can tell it was all sewed by hand. You can tell because it wasn't quite straight. There was stuff that got a little crooked that like went a little off. But like, I really like that. I really like those details and the attention to detail that they show. We do eventually realize who Sauron is, and it is not the stranger. It is actually Halbrand. Now, other people had theorized this. I had seen that floating around the internet before, so it wasn't too surprising when he was revealed to be Halbrand. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it too because at first, or when he was revealed to be Sauron, I liked it because at first he's kind of helping the elves along, like telling them how to, craft the mithril into things. And the first time he's like, "Hey, what about you make an alloy?" And they're like, "Okay." And I'm like, I don't like it when that happens in movies and TV shows because that's not usually how it happens in real life. Sometimes, but And then there's another scene where they're trying to force them together. He's like, "Maybe you shouldn't force them together," And it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like they're just they turned this guy into like a Mary Sue kind of thing or whatever. But no, they were not doing that at all. The guy was just Sauron, and he was deliberately, manipulating them to get them to do this. So that worked. I like that, and I think it worked out. And I also like that once Galadriel realizes who he is, I like the way she confronted him. Then I like the way that he basically offers her, like, "Marry me, become my queen, we can rule together." And I just thought it was an interesting concept. I'm sure it's been done before. I was trying to think of a specific example. The closest thing I can think of is like David Bowie and Labyrinth. I'm sure there's some other stuff though, where it's sort of a love story kind of thing where like the guy's evil and the woman has to decide, or some kind of a love triangle between an evil guy and a good guy and decide which one. I'm sure there's something like that. Twilight, kind of, but I don't know. But I would watch that if there was something like that, or like a 50 Shades of Grey type thing, but where the dude's like legitimately like a super villain. I can see there being a market for that. I don't know. So yeah, I like that. I thought that was interesting. And I also like Sadok's death. I know it was sad to see him die, but I like the fact that he just kind of sat there and, you know, said like, okay, well, I'm going to watch the sunset one last time. And they sat and watched the sunset with him. And it was a nice little moment. I'm sad that he had to die, but I liked it. As far as what I didn't like about the show, elves had never heard of alloys. They need the human to be like, hey, you know, you can combine two metals together and it makes a new metal. Like, really? They never seen brass before. Like they were. I mean, it doesn't seem that surprising to me. But okay, fine, whatever. You know, other than that, though, not a lot to complain about. I think you know, I would have liked to see maybe some more of the characters that I didn't see in this one. I would like to see more Doran. I was like Doran, but other than that, I would have liked to see a little bit more with that. But overall, pretty solid. And I really enjoyed the episode. So it ends with them crafting the 3 crowns, which we know eventually will turn into rings. But as it stands now, they're 3 crowns that the elves are going to keep for themselves. And so I'm curious to see where this goes from here. You know, I think they said it's going to be 5 seasons at least. So we've got 4 more seasons to go. And I want to know where it goes. I'm curious. And I'm still liking the show. So other than that, this episode was directed by Wayne Shea, who had done a couple other episodes previously. And like I said, I didn't love his first episode because there was some kind of, you know, stylized fighting that just seemed out of place to me. But that was the only time that it happened. It hasn't really happened since then. So yeah, overall, I'm really liking all of these more. Each episode kind of more, I think, at least his episodes. And then The Stranger, we did get the final reveal that he is Istari. So it leads you to believe he's most likely probably Gandalf. He could be some others, but at the end, when they ask him where he should go and he says, follow your nose, my first thought was, of course, make a Fruit Loops joke, but no, Gandalf actually says that in the Lord of the Rings movies. So it seems like a pretty obvious reference to Gandalf. Maybe not. Maybe they're intentionally trying to, you know, set us up for something, but I think it's Gandalf. So hey, that's cool. I like Gandalf. Why not? So as far as the score on this episode, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I know I keep giving all these episodes 8 out of 10s, but that's about where they all are. Maybe they're some are closer to 7 or so, but overall, I think I really like this show. I think it's interesting, and I'd like to see where it's going to go. I'm not looking forward to having to wait to see more episodes, but yeah, I think for me, overall on this show and on this episode, an 8 seems pretty solid. It seems like that's about where my level of enjoyment of the show was. So if you saw the series or if you saw the episode, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Do you have any theories about what's going to happen next season or who this stranger is or anything like that? Let me know. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you here again next week.